What is up, guys? Rick Cacus here, keeping you up to date with the latest Destiny 2 news and information. And today there was an absolutely massive Destiny 2 leak, and that's because a Destiny 2 guidebook was released early, and it unveiled just everything. We got so much information today. An entire video and all the spoilers would take like an hour. So in this video, we're just going to break down all of the new exotics that have been unveiled in this leak. And we're talking about 20 plus exotics. So grab some popcorn, get a drink, sit back, and get ready for a ton of awesome Destiny 2 information. And so, let's get started. And we're going to begin here with the exotic weapons. And starting us off, we have the Trials of Osiris themed pulse rifle, the Vigilance Wing. This was spotted in some gameplay a while back, but now we know the actual proper perks for this weapon. So it's a kinetic pulse rifle. The intrinsic perk is Harsh Truths. This weapon fires a 5-round burst, already super interesting for a pulse rifle. When a nearby ally is killed, gain health regeneration and increase movement speed. Next up for the barrel, we have Corkscrew Rifling. Balanced barrel slightly increases range and stability, slightly increases handling speed. The magazine is an alloy magazine, faster reloads when the magazine is empty. Its trait, essentially another perk, is Last Stand. Improved weapon performance when its wielder is the last living member of a fire team. And lastly, the stock is Composite Stock. This weapon has a versatile dual-purpose stock, slightly increases stability, and slightly increases handling speed. So this seems like a pretty powerful weapon in PvE, and frankly the best part about this weapon is it's so on theme. The perks seem actually quite good for Trials of Osiris, but of course we know Trials of Osiris is gone and now it's Trials of the Nine, but again, that's definitely keeping with this weapon's theme. And next up, we have the Dubious Volley, except for apparently it's not called the Dubious Volley, it's actually called the Wardcliff Coil. It's an arc rocket launcher, and the intrinsic exotic perk is Mad Scientist. This weapon fires a volley of rockets, and of course we've seen that in many different promotional material. Next up we have the Launcher Barrel, which is Volatile Launch. This weapon is optimized for an especially explosive payload, greatly increased blast radius, slight decreases in handling speed, and slightly decreases projectile speed. Next up we have for the magazine, Extended Mag. This weapon has a greatly increased magazine size, but reloads much slower. After that, we have the trait Mechanized Autoloader. This weapon automatically reloads on ammo pickup. That sounds really good for a rocket launcher. And lastly, the stock is Composite Stock. This weapon has a versatile dual-purpose stock, increases stability and handling speed slightly, just like the pulse rifle. After that, we have the Hard Light Auto Rifle returning from Destiny 1, except for this time, it's Arc and Solar and Void. You can see up in the top, you can select the different element you want. So the intrinsic exotic perk is Volatile Light. Rounds fired from this weapon have no damage falloff, over-penetrate targets, and ricochet off hard surfaces. So that's pretty much returning from Destiny 1. The barrel is Polygonal Rifling. Barrel optimized for recoil reduction, increases stability. The magazine is Alloy Magazine. Faster reloads when the magazine is empty. The trait is Variable. Arc Core, Solar Core, Void Core. It modifies the weapon's damage trait based on the type to Arc, Solar, or Void. And lastly, the stock is the Composite Stock, which does exactly the same as the other two. And now it's time to move on to the exotic armor pieces. So let's begin here with what is obviously the best class in Destiny, and that is... You guys are all just hovering over the comment section waiting on what I'm gonna say, hey? And that is the Titan. I'm just kidding, I had to start somewhere. Let's start with the gauntlets. We've got firstly the Doom Fang Pauldron, intrinsic perk Horns of Doom. Shield bash melee kills recharge shield throw. which seems very powerful. You only get one shield throw per super activation for the Sentinel Titan, and so just a shield bash kill recharges that automatically. You can throw so much more shields. Also, melee ability kills recharge Sentinel Shield Super, which is also pretty good. Next up, we have the Synthocepts. It has the exotic perk Biotic Enhancements. Increased melee lunge range. Ooh. Also, improved damage when surrounded. Ooh, looks like the Titans are coming for the Stormcallers. Ooh, that's gonna be interesting. And moving on to the Titan chest armor, firstly, we have the Actium War Rig with the intrinsic perk Auto-Loading Link. Steadily reloads a portion of your equipped auto rifle's magazine from reserves. Wow, that's a very specific exotic perk, but that would work really well with an auto rifle. The one that obviously comes to mind is the Sweet Business chain gun auto rifle. That would be so good paired with the Actium War Rig. Next up, we have the Hallowfire Heart with the intrinsic perk Sunfire Furnace. Greatly improves the recharge rate of your solar abilities while Hammer of Soul is charged. Next, we have a returning favorite with Crest of the Alpha Lupi with the intrinsic perk Survival Well. Generates an additional orb of light from supers and a healing pulse when Barricade is activated. The healing pulse being the new addition here with the newly added class abilities, which makes the Crest actually pretty interesting. And moving on from there, we have the Titan leg armor. Firstly, we have the Dunemarchers returning with the intrinsic perk Linear Actuators. Increases sprint speed. Sprinting builds up a static charge. After melee attacking an enemy, that charge will chain to nearby enemies. That's definitely pretty interesting there. Next up, we have the Peacekeepers with the intrinsic perk Mecha Holster. Reloads stowed submachine guns and allows you to ready them instantly. That's another very specific perk for a specific weapon type. So, like, is there going to be actual gun type builds, like a submachine gun build, an auto rifle build in Destiny 2? Well, it certainly seems possible with these exotics. After that, we have Lion Rampart with the intrinsic perk Jump Jets. Provides additional aerial maneuverability. So basically, the Twilight Garrison has returned, but on leg armor. Next up, we have Titan Helmets, with the first one being Insurmountable Skullfort returning from Destiny 1. The intrinsic perk it has is Transfusion Matrix. Kills with arc melee abilities, trigger health regeneration, and restore melee energy. After that, we have the Mask of the Quiet One, with the intrinsic perk Dreaded Visage. Grants ability energy when damaged, and health regeneration when inflicting void damage. Guys, that's actually insane, because it doesn't limit the void damage to abilities only. It just says void damage. So you're going to be regenerating your health anytime you damage an enemy with a void weapon, like a void energy weapon, which you have access to pretty much constantly. This is going to be really powerful. And now it's time to move on to the next class here with the Hunter. And let's begin here with helmets, the first one being the Foetracer, with the intrinsic perk Relentless Tracker. Visually marks targeted enemies. So basically the Keen Sense perk, but potentially ramped up quite a bit. That'll be definitely interesting to see what it's like in game. Moving on from there, we have the returning favorite Celestial Nighthawk with the intrinsic perk Hawkeye Hack. Modifies Golden Gun to fire a single high damage shot, just like last time. Victims killed by the shot explode. Moving on, we have the Hunter exotic chests. Starting us off, we have the Dragon's Shadow with the intrinsic perk Quicksilver Mail. Grants increased movement and weapon handling speed for a short time after dodging. After that, we have the returning Lucky Raspberry with the intrinsic perk Probability Matrix. Increases the chaining capabilities of Arc Bolt Grenade and has a chance to recharge it each time it deals damage. Next up, we have Radiant Flux with the intrinsic perk Synapse Junctions. Quick successive attacks with Arc Staff increase its damage output and duration. That seems like a ton of fun to use in strikes. After that, we have the Hunter Exotic Leg Armor. Firstly, we've got the Lucky Pants with the intrinsic perk Illegally Modded Holster. It increases hand cannon ready speed and initial accuracy. Oh boy, this is going to become an absolute force in PvP, let me tell you that. Wow, and again we see that specific gun type being referenced there. Next up we have the Orpheus Rig with the intrinsic perk Uncanny Arrows. Provides ability energy for each enemy tethered by Shadow Shot anchors. After that we did have the Frosties, and now we've got the Stompies with the intrinsic perk Hydraulic Booster. Increases sprint speed and slide distance. Improves jump. That's actually really good. Like, doing all of those things at once, that's also probably going to be a force to be reckoned with in Destiny 2. And moving on from there, it's time to go to the next class here, which is the Warlock. And let's start with the Exotic Warlock Head Armor. Firstly, we have Crown of Tempests with the intrinsic perk Conduction Tines. Arc ability kills. Increase the recharge rate of your arc abilities. That is some self-contained synergy if I've ever seen it, and this exotic goes really well with some of the leaked subclass nodes for the Stormcaller Warlock that we saw earlier today. There's a lot of subclass perks that let you recharge your abilities for using your other abilities with the Stormcaller, so you could probably make an abilities focused build with the Stormcaller where you're just recharging stuff so fast with the Crown of Tempests. After that, we have Eye of Another World with the intrinsic perk Cerebral Uplink. Highlights priority targets and improves the regeneration speed of your grenade, melee, and rift abilities. Well, that's pretty interesting. I wonder what high priority targets are. Moving on from there, however, we have Nezarec's Sin with the intrinsic perk Abyssal Extractors. Void damage kills grant ability energy. Ooh, void damage kills. That includes void weapons. So you turn any void weapon into, essentially, something like the Bad Juju. And this is the second time we've seen this type of ability, where you just need to use an elemental damage type to get an effect. And that makes the ability to actually create builds in Destiny 2 a lot more viable and a lot more interesting and exciting. Moving on from there, however, we have the Skull of Dire Ahamkara with the intrinsic perk Actual Grandeur. Provides additional damage resistance during Nova Bomb. Nova Bomb kills grant super energy, so pretty much similar to what it was in Destiny 1. Except for the fact that it also seems to have the exotic perk from the Obsidian Mind in Destiny 1, where it grants more super energy for getting kills with your Nova Bomb. So the Skull is a lot more powerful in D2. And so guys, that is it for all of the exotic weapons and armor unveiled today. Now obviously there are more. For example, we only went over the Warlock helmets, but the leaker, for whatever reason, only leaked that stuff, so not much else we can do. In any event, I hope you enjoyed this video, found it informative, and if you did, please remember to keep my channel alive by simply pressing the like button and especially pressing that share button. Those of you who do that are the real MVPs. And guys, if you want to see more Destiny 2 content, there's even more stuff in this leak that we didn't cover. So if you want to see the rest of it, make sure to slap that subscribe button. And if you actually want to be notified of new uploads, like subscribe should do, make sure to press the bell beside subscribe. Now, if you guys want to get in touch with me and keep up to date with the latest channel activity, the best way is to follow me on Twitter at RickKakis. That's linked in the description down below, as is my Twitch channel, which you can also follow. Again, I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, have a good day.